Hey there. I want to begin today's presentation by retreading some of the ground we've already walked together in considering the scientific findings of the last century or so. The abstract truth which quantum theory infers is that the world you and I perceive are basically mental constructions that have been formed in our minds. There is much wider acceptance of this in the scientific world than most of us non-scientists realize. The world we construct seems to be an effect of our past experiences, and since we have had all different experiences in our past, we are seeing different worlds. Everything which we perceive is subjectively true to the extent that they do describe our subjective experience, but we would be mistaken to presume that other people's subjective experience is the same as ours. I've shared with you before that I'm a couples therapist. One theme that often comes up in couples therapy regards who is doing most of the dishes. It's the classic dishes blah 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 argument. You, as an unbiased observer, might assume there is a definitive answer to that question if you believe there is an objective reality independent of our minds. How is it that two people in my office can't seem to agree on a basic fact like this? Because both of them are seeing the situation only through their own eyes. Their own eyes are present every time they do the dishes, but they're not present every time the other person is doing the dishes. They have access to incomplete information. It's as simple as that. Our eyes go with us wherever we go, and they don't take in things that might be happening where we don't. Other conscious agents, though, are present in other places. There are about 8 billion of them, with the same basic technology plan that you and I have. Our starter pack includes sight, hearing, smelling, touch, and taste. It also includes interoception, which allows us to feel our internal states, as well as intuition, which allows us to infer things we don't take in with our senses. When you sign up for a new app, you're often given choices of packages with varying monthly costs, depending on what features you want to get. We can think of these technologies in a similar way. We get the basic human plan for free. Most of us. Some people may get extras, like, say, perfect pitch or telepathy in the case of severely autistic individuals. The psychological phenomena which I described in my last presentation point at why we have so much difficulty, both cognitively and emotionally, in accepting what seems to be radical ideas which create dissonance when we try to assimilate them into the belief system we currently hold. Any one of these ideas without the context of many other related ideas that surround it and support it seem entirely counterintuitive and not logical at all. There are a couple more psychological phenomena I'd like to point out today. The first one is confirmation bias. It's tied most directly to cognitive dissonance, as you'll soon see. Having already abandoned the abstract truths we learned in elementary school in favor of believing what we see with our senses, we do end up seeing what we already believe. That's confirmation and bias in a nutshell. But what about someone like me who believes I have to believe it to see it? Well, it works the same for me. I just see different things because I believe different things. Let's consider the algorithm that exists on all of the social media apps we like to browse through. The algorithm is designed by the programmers to give you more of what you want to see. It registers how long you linger on a particular social media post, and judges that if you lingered on this one for longer than you lingered on that one, it's probably because you are more interested in the content of this one. And then it sends more similar posts your way so as to grab your attention more, and now they have statistics to show their advertisers that their users are spending more time rather than less time on the site. No foul play here. This is just how it works. They're required by their duty to their shareholders to render the most likable posts for you based on your subjective attention-giving tendencies, so as to create more profits for the shareholders by way of attracting more advertisers to their site. Any app which doesn't exploit confirmation bias in their algorithm would be at a strong disadvantage to those which have. Did you know that the internet and all of its algorithms were not possible before the ideas of quantum theory were around? Confirmation bias, which has been accelerated and magnified by the existence of the internet, was a thing before the internet was a thing. It describes why we see the fitness payoffs on our interface rather than the things we don't want or need to see, such as the electromagnetic forces, which birds sense in order to navigate their migratory paths. We don't need that technology to survive long enough to pass our genes on to the next generation, so we weren't given instruments by natural selection to see that part of reality. But the birds need it for evolution's sake. It's part of their strategy for survival. We were given instruments like ears that would translate sound waves, which are silent and invisible to the eye, into audible sound. The question of whether a tree makes a sound when falling in the forest if there is nobody with ears present is a simple one to answer. No, it does not. The ear, along with some other neuronal processes in the brain, are required to turn the sound wave into something audible. Another question regarding that tree is whether it falls in the forest at all if there's no one around to observe it. With the abstract truth about object permanence and non-locality, which I discussed yesterday, we can assume the answer again here is no, nothing happened at all if there wasn't an observer to witness it. Confirmation bias is due to the observer effect. In tomorrow's presentation, I will explain the observer effect and how it was discovered well over a century ago. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It will help me to attract an agent so I can get my book published. The book, by the way, is called How to Change the World by Changing Your Mind. I also now have a substack at Nate Cokerno, all lowercase. You can find more articles of mine there. Thanks again for watching.